Last episode, we rebuilt this entire engine from scratch after finding serious bearing damage in our Ford Focus ST. After multiple weekends of disassembly, cleaning and rebuilding, we finally reached the point everything has been leading up to. When we bought this Focus, all we knew was that something inside the engine had gone seriously wrong. And while finding the problem was one thing, fixing it turned into a complete rebuild. Now it's finally time to find out whether we managed to save it. So let's see if all those weekends in the garage are worth it. A few weeks ago, this engine was sitting in pieces all over the garage floor. It's finally starting to look like an engine again. All it needs to do now is prove itself. There's one important part missing before we can go and reinstall this engine back into the car, and that's the gearbox, so let's start with installing that. After spending multiple weekends taking this drivetrain apart and rebuilding it piece by piece, this almost feels like the moment everything finally starts coming back together again. And honestly, that's a pretty satisfying feeling. Before we can reinstall the gearbox, there's still a few parts that need to go on first. Most importantly, the flywheel and clutch. So that's what we're starting with today. Also, when you're installing flywheel bolts, make sure you're putting some Loctite on there, or else you'll get oil leaks later on. So don't forget to do that. With the Loctite applied, we can finally bolt the flywheel back onto the engine, followed by the clutch itself, which I'm centering by eye. And since someone has to stop the flywheel from turning while the clutch bolts are being tightened, this is one of those jobs that's a whole lot easier when you're not working alone. And with the flywheel and clutch installed, we can finally move on to the gearbox. We're using the engine hoist to help us with that, cause even though Pascal's pretty strong, we'd like to keep his back intact for a few more projects. At this point, we're practically ready to reinstall the engine, but if you've ever worked on a project car before, you probably already know what's coming next, a side quest. So we're about to reinstall the engine, and then we noticed that this engine mount bracket's a bit ugly and rusty, so I'm quickly going to repaint it so it's nice and black again. And yes, it's a bit late, but yeah, better now than ever. With the bracket prepped, it's finally ready for paint. And since this is supposed to be a quick side quest rather than a full restoration, I'm using Hammerite, which means I can skip the primer and go straight to the painting. And now it really is time to reinstall the engine, the moment we've been working towards for the past few weeks. Just like when we removed it, we're installing it through the underside of the car, only this time we're hoping everything actually ends up back where it belongs. To avoid damaging any paint, we removed the bumper and the hood once again before starting the installation. And just like when we took the engine out, we're using the engine hoist to carefully lift and tilt everything into position. Well, we're almost ready to bolt the engine fully back in place, but as you can see, we're missing two important parts. For starters, the cylinder head, obviously. But if you've watched the first video of this series, you may remember that one of the engine mounts was really badly leaking, so of course we don't want to reinstall that. So before we can continue, I gotta order some parts. Luckily, finding parts for this thing isn't very difficult. For this project, I'm using the AUTODOC app. All I have to do is select the Ford Focus, search for the parts I need, and I can quickly find both the engine mount and head gasket for this rebuild. Since the search is specifically built around cars, it makes finding the correct parts a whole lot easier. And because there are multiple brands and options available, it's easy to compare prices before ordering. Before checking out, I'm also activating my discount code JOY05 for an additional 5% off AUTODOC products. Well, my package has arrived. Let's see what we've got. So, looks like we got the engine mount and this gasket. And if you're working on your own project car and need parts as well, make sure to use my code JOY05 at your next AUTODOC purchase. Well, all nice and prepped, right? So I think we can get started with this cylinder head gasket right away.
Yep, let's do it.
Time to unpack the head gasket. And if you're replacing yours, try not to touch the sealing surfaces. Keeping them completely clean and grease-free helps to ensure the gasket can do its job properly. With the new gasket in place, we can finally lower the cylinder head back onto the engine and start turning this short block into a complete engine once again.
Yep.
Of course, we got some new cylinder head bolts too, but before we can go and reinstall them, we gotta oil them up a bit. And of course, this is also a great example of teamwork. One of us is oiling up the bolts while the other one's putting them in place. Which is probably not the most efficient way to do it, but it does make us both look busy.
Yeah, so the main reason that I clean up the holes from the block is because usually if you do a head gasket replacement, then you take the head off and all kinds of fluids fall down, you know, so they come into the holes. And then if you put a head bolt in and you turn it tight, the fluids cannot go anywhere and then the block can crack. So it's really important to clean it up real good before you install these.
With the cylinder head in place, it is time to install the new engine mount. Even though we'll have to remove it again later when it's time for the timing belt, I'd rather get rid of the lashing strap and have the engine properly supported before moving on. Of course, it's not just a matter of removing the lashing strap and bolting the new engine mount. There are a few other parts that need to be installed first. Luckily, we paid attention while taking everything apart, which means we're spending a lot less time guessing how it all goes back together again. Well, I'm happy to see the engine hang on its own again, for now, because we still have to undo the engine mount again.
Yep.
To do the timing belt. Yeah. But first we gotta install the camshafts, of course.
Yep.
And that's handy like this, I think.
Yeah, and the cover.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's do that.
Yay!
Of course, before putting everything back together, we're making sure all the moving parts are properly lubricated. That way the engine won't be starting up dry when we crank it for the first time. Before installing the camshafts, I'm putting all of the valve tappets in place, making sure each one goes back into the position it came from. And yes, there's more oil involved. Now it's almost time for the camshafts and cam cover. But before any of that can go back on, the mating surfaces need to be thoroughly degreased. After that, it is time for the seals to make sure everything stays oil tight once the engine's running again. And yes, you probably saw this one coming, more oil. This time I'm applying it to all of the surfaces that will be in contact with the camshafts. And with all of that done, it is finally time for the camshafts. And I don't know why, but once those go in, this suddenly starts looking a lot more like an engine again. The last thing we need to finally finish the long block is the cam cover. And it probably won't come as a surprise, just like many other parts of this engine, it's sealed using liquid gasket. Well, I'm super happy because the long block's pretty much done. So, what's next?
Put the timing tool in place
Oh yeah,
on the camshafts.
loosen the mount again.
Loosen the mount again, take the sprockets off, put a little seal keyring. Yeah, what's
seal?
Is it a seal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Put a little seal in, put sprockets back, and then it's time to put the timing belt on.
Yeah, almost done. We're getting there.
Yeah.
I'm excited. To make sure the timing stays exactly where it should be, we're using a camshaft locking tool. By the way, we're using this extra extension on this tool because normally you got 2 sets of bolts going through there, but we only got the long set of bolts, so that's why we're using this unnecessary extension, because normally you don't have to in this case. This tool holds the camshafts in position while we install the timing belt. Luckily, we already had one lying around. Since this Focus ST is powered by a Volvo engine, it's a tool we've used plenty of times before. Of course, we also want to install new camshaft seals. But before we can get to those, the camshaft pulleys have to come off first, which turned out to require a little more persuasion than we were hoping for. I'm making sure the seals go in nice and straight using a hammer to carefully tap them in place. And with the seals in place, the camshaft pulley can go back on. And just as quickly as it went on, the engine mount has to come off again. It sits right in the way of the timing belt, so there's no getting around it. Okay, so a little while back we were cleaning out this garage because we knew that the Ford had to come in here. And then we found a timing belt kit for this engine because of course it's a Volvo engine and we usually work on these engines, so we were lucky again. So we're going to install this and unbox it first. So we got a water pump gasket, a water pump, some new bolts, and the timing belt itself, an idler pulley, that's a mess, and then the tensioner. But that's all new, so I like that. The first thing we have to do is install the water pump. Now, if you're wondering why we didn't do that while the engine was still out of the car, so are we. I guess we were a little too eager to get this thing back where it belongs. And after some struggling and maybe a few curse words, it's finally time to put the timing belt in place. And here's a quick tip for the DIYers. If you're having trouble keeping the belt on the crankshaft pulley, you can temporarily stick a couple of screwdrivers through the bolt holes to hold it in place. Just don't forget to take them back out before starting the engine. So the screws that hold the camshaft sensor wheels in place were already destroyed when we got started, and we ordered them right at the start of this project, but they're in back order. So we didn't get them on time, and hopefully we will get them soon. But for now we're going to modify these because yeah, we do got to reinstall them, but that's why we're using these super ugly screws. It may not be ideal, but sometimes you just have to work with what you got. Luckily, these screws can still be tightened properly, and since the camshaft seal still has to fit over them, using bolts with a larger head isn't really an option. In the meantime, Pascal's putting everything back together on the other side of the engine so we can finally hang it back on the new engine mount. Okay, so we've been a bit stupid because we told each other we gotta install the studs for the exhaust manifold before installing the engine back into the car. And the engine's now fully in place, but of course we forgot to install the studs, so that's what I'm trying to do right now. But it was a whole lot easier with the engine still out. But yeah, this will have to do. There are still quite a few parts that need to be installed from underneath the car, so we decided to tackle those first and save the more accessible parts for later. After all, we know ourselves. Once we're getting close to finishing the rebuild, there's always the risk of getting a little too excited and overlooking something. At this point, most of the hard work's already behind us. All that's left is putting back the countless little parts we've removed along the way. And while those jobs aren't particularly exciting, they're the final pieces of the puzzle that surely turn this collection of parts back into a complete car. For the first time in weeks, it actually starts feeling like a car again. Although that does require us to remember where we left all of those parts in the first place. So, are you happy we found the ignition coils?
It's about time. Everything is cleaned out.
Yeah, I think we spent an hour.
It was not necessary because they were just sitting in a box over there.
Yeah. I always think it's funny that we get comments that we're working not so chaotically, but we're super chaotic because we always lose everything.
Yeah, it's always somewhere. Yeah, I know you got it somewhere.
Yeah, well, we found them.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, and that's what I'm always trying to say. You know, I always want to create some sort of clean space to work, so you can put your stuff out and you see what you have and what you got to put on.
Yeah.
But somehow
I think
it doesn't work like that.
No, but the problem is we keep pushing cars out and other cars in because we got too many projects going on.
Yeah, and seriously, actually the space here is a little bit too small for the things we got.
It is. We need space for 20 cars.
No.
But at least 4 would be nice. The next step is reconnecting all of the electrical components. Now, we'd normally show you exactly how that goes, but considering there are approximately 5 million connectors on this engine, let's speed things up a little.
So now I'm going to install the wiring harness. There it is.
Well, that was quick, and now we're really close to finishing it, and I think we're going to get started on the underside of the car and finish everything there. That means it's finally time to install the drive shafts, bringing us one step closer to getting this Focus back on the road. As you may have noticed, there are still a few parts missing from the top side of the engine bay, such as the intake, but compared to where we started, the list of jobs is getting surprisingly short. And honestly, I'm getting more and more excited for the first start. Cause no matter how good an engine looks on the outside, there's only one way to find out if we've actually done everything right. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think this engine bay is looking a whole lot better than it did when we bought the car. And with all of the mechanical and electrical components back in place, it's finally time to fill up the fluids and prepare for that all-important first start.
So I think it's ready to start.
I think so too, and I can't wait, but when it started, I want to go for a test drive right away. So I think we got a little front end to rebuild first.
Oh. Okay. Yep, that's it.
Bumpers in place, which means it is now time for the headlights. And for the people that have seen the first video, you may remember that it had these projector headlights in there, but I'm personally more of a fan of original headlights. So I got some original headlights too, but as you can see, they're a bit yellowish, so they're not perfect yet. I am going to restore them in the future on my MK2 channel, so if you want to see that, make sure you check out that channel too. But for now, I'm just going to reinstall these, because we just want to go for the test drive. Almost ready to go for the first drive, if it wants to start, that is. But to top it all off, we're going to install the freshly painted wheels in the original color. Yeah! I do see some oil though.
Oh, where does it
You think we forgot a turbo bolt again? Wouldn't be the first time.
Oh, I had it last week at work.
Check it out.
I had a conversation with my colleague that I always forget that same thing.
Yeah.
So,
Because
yeah.
it looks like it's coming from there. It's at the back of the engine bay, so.
Oh, yeah.
Are you
Looks
serious?
like if it looks like an airplane.
It did run smoothly though.
Yeah, that's good. So okay, let's get it up on the bridge and let's tighten that thingy.
Well, it should be fixed, so on to take 2.
Yep.
Running nicely. That smoke. Woo.
No power steering.
Oh no.
Woo, smoky, smoky.
Yeah, it's really smoky.
Yeah, that's because of the oil spill we got earlier. The whole
Yeah.
block on the back end is full of oil, so yeah, if it's getting warm, it's gonna smoke like a
Yeah, it's all smoking from there, but
like a yakko.
aside from no power steering, it's running fine.
Yeah.
We didn't hear it run before starting this project because we bought it with a broken engine, so it's nice to hear it run now.
Yeah, it runs smooth. I had an idea that when it went down in RPMs, it had a little how do you say hiccup.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just all put together, so I think it's ready to drive, and then it will sort itself out.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I think it's time to put it outside because it's smoking in here.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not buying. Don't get me wrong, I'm not begging you. I'm looking for.
Feels so unreal to be driving this car.
It sounds so good.
Yeah, it does sound good. Except for the pops and bangs, I don't like that.
No, I don't like that either.
No.
All readings are good.
Yeah,
We got oil pressure.
that's nice.
Yeah, it's a nice feature that's standard on this car, you know, that you
Yeah.
can see it.
I really like that because we often build in the aftermarket
Yeah,
meter
yeah.
just to check when we've rebuilt an engine or anything. But
Yeah, it's always nice to have that kind of readings at the end.
it's so weird to be driving this car though, because we haven't driven it. We just bought it broken.
I like it.
I
It's
do
not
like it too.
rattling, it's not squeaking in the interior. It just drives good.
Yeah.
Steering wheel straight,
Yeah,
you know.
how it's
Engine
supposed
sounds
to
smooth. Turbo's making noise.
be. Yeah.
And we got some pop, pops
Yeah.
and bangs.
Yeah, but we'll get it remapped, I think, because
Yeah, it's not
we
my...
both don't like it.
Yeah, no.
But other than that,
Yeah,
it's really nice.
Yeah, it's doing good.
I'm not boosting it too much, but so far so good, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always wondering, you know, it's basically, it sounds a whole lot, you know, it's a Ford Focus has the 225 horsepower, but it's basically, it is the same engine and turbo that is in a V70
Yeah,
from a 08 and up.
but it sounds so much better.
Yeah, but if you buy a 2.5T, same gearbox, everything is the same, you know?
Yeah,
It sounds better, it shifts better.
yeah,
Of course, it steers better, but yeah, that's the Focus.
yeah, but it's just a totally different car.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Because
it's-
we've done so many Volvos, but we've never experienced anything like this before.
No, this is
I think.
this. How do you say? You got more connection driving the car.
This makes me genuinely so happy. I love this car already, and we haven't even driven 100 kilometers with it.
It sounds so good, but of course it has the little feature giving
Yeah.
us some noise in the cabin
Yeah,
from underneath the bonnet. So that's nice, and you can hear it.
yeah, you can definitely
give
hear
a
it.
little bit. I guess it drives good, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, from the passenger side, I can say it's a smooth ride.
I think we did a good job again.
Yeah.